Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Half and Half. If you can believe it, it's snowing where we are. You can probably believe it if you're not here. But if you're here, you're probably like, I can't believe it's snowing. We're back. We're ready to move. Just kind of flush everything out. I have a strap. Maybe you have a towel or a strap. And I think we should start standing with some strap work today. So find your strap or your kitchen towel. If you want to use a kitchen towel, you can hold the diagonal corners of the towel and do that same work we're going to do here with the strap. So feet in parallel and toes pointing forward and hands just a little wider than your shoulders. And then do a little bit of movement with the wrist, just kind of feeling that joint back and forth. And then find your straight wrist position. So knuckles pointing straight down. And then do a little bit with your elbows, like lock your elbows out really straight and then bend them kind of wide. Notice the difference between them bending back or bending wide. Find the wide position. And then let's put those things together. So like your knuckles point down, your wrists are straight, and you start to extend your arms, but only as far as you can keep the elbows wide. So if I go too straight, one of the things that happens is my elbows start pointing backwards, right? So we'll try that again. Bend your elbows, knuckles down. You're just going to drive the knuckles down until you feel kind of that soft elbow position where they can still be wide. And then hopefully that gives you a feeling of width in your back. We're going to play with that next. So we're going to go blades together, blades apart. So my hands are pretty much staying, my arm organization is staying as it is. I'm not bending my elbows to do it. My hands are moving a little bit up and down, but that's because my blades are going up and down as they come together, right? So just that together and apart. A weird sensation, right? The muscles that pull your shoulder blades towards your spine run on a diagonal upwards. And so as you pull your blades together, they naturally rise a little bit. And then let that all relax. And maybe you notice there's some work kind of in the upper part of your trapezius, in the upper part of your neck. That's also going to be a part of that movement of the shoulder blades. So that's just fine, right? Just want to make sure we let it go when the shoulder blades get wide. All right, so one more time. Bend your elbows, send your knuckles down, feel your blades wide, and then let the fingers move towards the floor without locking the elbows or losing your wide elbow position. Now we just do a little pull out and then release that pull. Pull out and release. So there's not a lot of movement in my arms or in my strap, right? I don't totally let it go each time. But I don't need for there to be a lot of movement. I just feel the muscles really come on and then I feel them let go. Then they turn on and let go. And inhale, pull, and exhale, and pull, and exhale, and reach, and release. And one more time, pull and hold it. Little bend in your knees. We'll go up to shoulder height and bend your knees to lower. And again, I keep all the same orientation. Elbows are reaching forward, knuckles are reaching forward, wrists are straight, but also the elbows are wide. Shoulder blades are wide. Two more. Up and hold it. Same little pulls in this orientation. Elbows reaching out, not down, and release. And out, and release. And wide shoulder blades, and long wrists, and pull. Inhale, exhale, pull, and release. Pull, and release. One more time, pull and hold it. Bend your knees. This time we're going to lift a heel to reach your arms overhead. One heel comes up, both feet. Other foot, heel lift and lower. So I'm not taking the whole foot off, just kind of working that ball of the foot position. Lift the heel and kind of push the ball of the foot down, spread out the toes. and up. Leave the strap up, lower your heels down. Now we're going to change what we do a little bit. So you're going to bend your elbows wide. It's called pulls to a W. So your elbows make a W as the strap goes behind your head and then up to the ceiling. And then strap goes in front to the W and back down. And reach behind and up and inhale and reach and behind and reach and in front. Now we're going to add the head to that. So my head is going to go down as my arms go behind, and then I look straight ahead. And then a little check out our ceiling, right? Your ceiling. And check out the floor and check out the ceiling. And reach. And not too much like hand gripping. Notice if that starts to get super tense, just hold the strap. You don't have to hold for dear life. And back up. Now let's take it behind your head one more time. Very fashionable towel around the neck look, right? We're just going to leave the strap there for a moment. Take your hands to your hips. Let's go back to that balancing. So bending, this time shift your weight and bring your foot all the way off. It could be low or it could be up at your knee. And then down to both feet and shift up and bend. And maybe you just tap. Maybe you do the ankle to balance. Maybe you bring it up to your knee. Bend, straighten, bend, straighten. All right, now we're going to add a little movement. So it comes up, we're going to step forward this time, and then back to the balance, and then step side and push back to the balance, and step back, and then together. Makes a nice rhythm. So up, forward, up to balance, side, up to balance, back, up to balance, and together. There's the rhythm. And up, forward. Now use that foot. I push my pelvis, hopefully my torso back to balance, and side, and I push to my balance, back, and up, and together. Other side, one more time. Up, pelvis, torso goes forward, push it back over the standing leg. Feel how it goes side, push back to the standing leg, and up, and together. Now, we're going to do that 2 more times. You can do it just like that, or you can add your strap to it. So it's going to be out in front of you, little pull, long wrist, wide back, up is a reach up, and then down, and up. Arms always go forward and up, and up, forward, and up. Bend your knees. And inhale, exhale, push, together, push, and together, and push, and step, and up, and forward. Now maybe if the balance isn't so good, just step together and step side. That's another version too. Don't have to do the balance necessarily. Lower and push, forward, push, side, push, back, and push. Together, one more time through. Just find your breath. Do you feel your abdominals helping you? Really helpful in balance. Feet grounded into the floor help you. And lower. And rest. Okay, we're going to take the strap off. Let's keep playing with a little bit of balance with the standing footwork. So now I'm going to be in the Pilates V shape, which is a little easier for balance because it has creates a little width instead of just forward and back. That's often a little easier for people. And we're going to start with a little bit of up and down balance on the toes. So bending to start and straighten. And then feel your heels touching. Now keep drawing your heels together And as you draw your heels together, push through the balls of your feet and float up. And then lower your heels down. And then bend and straighten. Now I got to push down through the feet. I got to draw the heels together. And then there's just like a sense of the top of my head floating up. Pull up, right? But it needs to feel a sense of motion, right? My torso has a little bit of forward motion as it goes up, right? Because I'm going from the heel and the whole foot to just the ball of the foot. So there's a little forward action that happens to get me just on the ball of the foot. All right, now let's take the standing footwork. So I bend, I stay bent. My heels lift, they stay together. Now I push to the straight leg balance and then lower and bend and lift and push and lower. Hands on the hips is a good option. If you want to feel like Joe Pilates, you take your hands out in front of you. It also creates a different balance challenge to have your hands in front of you here and ask you to integrate your arms and your upper abdominals. Same thing in reverse. So you rise up and then you bend with the heels lifted and lower and straighten and rise up, bend, lower and straighten and up, bend, lower and straighten. One more time. You'll stay together, lower and straighten. Did you see me give you the side eye? I was giving myself the side eye. I can't see you, but my heels were starting to separate. So I was giving myself the side eye. I need to get my heels together. And maybe if your heels were starting to separate, I was giving you the side eye too. All right, so we're going to play a little bit with what it would be like for one heel to lift, to balance on one foot and then the other. Now, you have a counter, you have a chair, something like that. Maybe you want to hold on, but also I'm going to give you some options either way. So we're going to go back to that one heel lifted up position like we did earlier. Find the balance there. We're just going to like let the toe stay on the floor. There, I'm going to bend the standing leg, my right leg, and then I'm going to push that other leg, heel lifts and lower down, and bend the one knee, the right knee. So this leg is still providing me a little bit of balance, but I don't really have a lot of weight in it, right? But it just is there, so it doesn't have to be so hard on the balance. And if you put a little weight in it, that's okay too, right? We're just playing with what would it be like if my weight's centered over one side, and I work with this, lifting and lowering. Now, maybe you are holding on to something, or you want to try taking a foot off. It takes a lot more strength to lift up that one foot and back down. Pretty challenging, actually. A lot of abdominals and lower, right? My heel doesn't go quite as high when I do this. I really feel those calf muscles come on. And I really feel my stomach come on. And down to both feet and switch. All right, so right heel's lifted. Holding on, not. Bend, press. Right heel lifts up. My right ankle is much stronger. You maybe are on your left foot because you're mirroring me. But the main point is like maybe your sides feel different. It's okay. Abdominals on, leg working. All right, we're going to do 4 more just like this. Totally fine. Plenty of work. If I weren't demonstrating, I might keep doing that because that was really nice. Or you try foot up. Yeah, and low. Rise up and lower and bend and press and little. Rise up and lower and bend and straighten, up, lower and bend and straighten and lift and lower. All right. You feel your calves, you feel your stomach, you feel your legs. Let's take your position over to the side. And in our routine we've done for the past few weeks, kind of pre-spring break, we were working a little more on this kind of squat position, knees forward, feet down, right? Tailbone back. Let's do a little bit of that work here. So you could have your hands on your hips again. That's always kind of a solid place. Heels are down, knees glide forward, tailbone goes back, and spine has a little bit of forward motion. Thinking of a kind of a lightning bolt, zigzag back and forth from my torso to my thigh, to my shins, to my feet, and back up. And bend, and back up, and bend, and back up. Now we have this little balance movement we've been doing. So bend, shift your weight onto your right foot, lift your left heel, down and up. Let's start with that. Bend, shift your weight, lift your right heel if you're mirroring me, and back up. And bend. My whole torso has a little shift for the heel to come up. And up, bend, heel, down, and up. Next step, fork in the road, as Scott likes to say. You could keep doing that, or you could take the next one. So bend. Now I take that heel up. I slide it back to a lunge. I bring it back in, and then up to standing. Bend, heel lifts, reach back to a long lunge, together, and standing. Maybe you want to do prayer pose with your hands. That works better than hands on your hips. They're a little more out of the way. Reach and up, bend, reach, together, and up, bend, reach, together. Push the feet up to standing. Last one. And all the way up. Let's take a little reach up, even though this is stealing from Scott. We do a little sun salutation movement, reach up, reach forward, and over your legs. Now, kind of that same action we just did, right? You bend your knees, your hands are on the floor, you reach a foot back, and then hands are more on the floor, you reach another foot back. And then lowering to hands and knees, pushing back. And then unrolling your spine up to sitting. All right. Are you thinking like, I thought we were going to do Pilates? No, we should do some Pilates. Although that strap work still counts as Pilates. So let's come back on your back and just settle your weight into the floor. And then feel what it's like to be just supported now after all that standing work. The pelvis heavy. As best you can, the hips relaxed. And the feet grounded into the floor. Let's take your hands up to the ceiling in line with your shoulders. And then that elbow position again. Your arms are straight, but your elbows point out to the sides. And so what that does is, it does keep your elbow a little bent to do that. But it tends to also keep you a little more integrated in your center when you do that. It helps the shoulder blades stay wide. So see if you can feel that as you exhale, just a little bit of tone in your abdominals. No big deal, just like enough to feel that something's on, right? Not too tense, a little bit of tone. Now from this position here, let's just see what it's like to roll your head off the floor. So think almost like you were a China doll or doll of some sort, like everything's sort of connected. The head floats, the arms float, and the upper back comes off the floor. And then everything rolls back down together. Take a breath in. And then the head, the arms, the upper back, everything just kind of rolls forward together. And rolling back down. Now, of course, if this feels like too much on your neck, you could put a hand behind your head or both hands behind your head and do the same movement. If it feels okay to do with the arms forward, then we're creating a little more neck strength challenge and abdominal strength challenge. So I feel my abdominals working first, and I feel my neck working too. Don't want it to be all neck, but I definitely have some work in my neck and my abdominals. Now, this time, I'm going to keep floating the arms down into that 100 position. And we're going to do a couple knee folds, one leg up, lower it back down, other leg up, lower it down. Trying to keep the upper body really steady, just your legs moving. Maybe you feel a little bit of that strap feeling in your arms, like you were pulling on the strap again, one more each side. Lower everything down. Take a moment, really feel the weight of your head. So one thing that's good is if you're working some of those muscles, like your neck or your lower back or your hips that we chronically work, if you're kind of getting into working those muscles, really important to then feel them relax, because that's often our problem with those muscles, is that we just never relax them. So after you feel some of that work in your neck, now just see if you can feel your head heavy, really deeply letting go for a moment. And then we're going to find it again. So exhale a little bit of tone in your belly. Another exhale, roll the head up, reach the arms forward. Maybe your hands are behind your head, or maybe they're reaching forward to 100 position. And let's do our little marches, our little knee fold marches. One leg up, exhale, lower, other leg up. And like my abdominal muscles could reel the leg in, right? Like it was a fishing pole, and then reel it back down. Four more. Three, two, and last one. And lower everything down. And then let's take our arms straight out to the side and just let the chest relax and open. And let your neck relax. All right, we're going to let that be our 100 for today, right? We did that in place of the 100. Let's take your right leg out on the floor with that foot flex. Your left leg in, holding the back of your leg, and then bend your knee all the way down so your calf is resting down on your hands, your heel is resting down towards your butt. And then instead of pulling the knee super close, see if you can think of the leg being a little relaxed. Now, if your hips are really tight, you might still feel like you're having to pull the leg and hold it up. But it doesn't need to come super close to your chest. Let it just be relaxed if you're a little more flexible. Feeling knee over hip. And then from there, reaching your leg up. Inhale. And exhale, bend down. And as you do this movement, you might still relax your neck. Let your head be supported by the floor. And then feel where your elbows are. See if you can think of the elbows being kind of wide. Maybe they lift a little bit, shoulder blades get a little wider. Next time you have your leg up, leave it there. Let's flex and point your foot. And then foot stays pointed. Little bit of tone in your belly. Hands go away and come down by your side. Let's take your leg circles. Inhale, the leg reaches across your body and then circle around. Back where you started. Pelvis, torso, really still to circle across and then around and up. Inhale across Exhale, keep the tone in your belly to support this movement of your leg. One more. Same circle, opposite direction. So a little bit open and then way across again. So you're still thinking of that real cross motion. If you're moving your left leg, you're really focused on how it comes across to the right. Two more. Bend your knee, rest your leg on the floor. Again, maybe your hip was working in that one. It does for a lot of people. So then that's okay. Just take a moment and let it really go. Yeah. Just breathe. Think of your leg heavy. Think of your thigh relaxed. And then we'll set up for the other side. So now if your left leg's on the floor, that foot's flexed, reaching forward. Right leg comes in, you hold the back of the leg. You don't pull super close. You just let your knee be over your hip, and then may or may not feel like a stretch of any sort. Just depends on your body. Elbows, instead of pulling them way into your body, you let them be kind of wide. Calf resting on your hands, heel resting towards your butt. And then inhale up and exhale bend. Think of your abdominals supporting the movement already. What if you had to stand up and do this movement? You would really need your abdominals to support you. One more time up. And then let's move the foot, flexing and pointing. Hi, bitty cat. All right, pointed foot, tone in your belly, hands come away and down by your side. Reach your right leg across to the left. Circle around and back where you started. 5 times. Inhale across, exhale. Increase the tone in your belly. Inhale, reach. Exhale, use your belly. Last one. Same exact circle, but other direction. So a little open and then way across to the left and back to center. Inhale, exhale. Last one. Bend your knee. Rest everything down. Relax your hips for a moment. Both hips, both thighs, lower back, everything. Just breathe, maybe into your belly or however feels natural. Let things settle. All right, let's take a roll up to sitting. So I'm going to do a full on roll up with my legs out in front of me. Maybe you're going to bend one knee and hold your leg to roll up, or maybe you're going to take both legs in and roll up. Your choice, but move through your spine. All right, folks. Scott is all ready to go. Scott is all ready to go, pointing me to that camera. And we're going to switch off.
Hello, everybody. So let's start off in standing. One of my meditation teachers will use the term uncontrived ordinariness. So take a moment not to stand in any particular special way. Let your arms relax, your shoulders, and bring awareness to whatever sensations may currently be present. Maybe you find that you're standing tall. Maybe you find you're slouching somewhat. and simply being aware of your body as it is. So we're going to bring this thread of mindfulness, continue this thread of mindfulness as we make some movements. So begin with hands on your hips, and then step your feet wide apart. And from your hip sockets, turn out a little bit. Exhale, bend your ankles, knees, and hips. And then inhale, come on back up. Let's do that again. Exhale, bend. And rather than lifting up with your neck, head, or shoulders, as you inhale, press your feet down and let that downward push be what lifts you up. Exhale. Inhale, down creates up. Newton's third law of working with the body. For every action, an equal and opposite reaction. To lift up, push down. To lift up, push down. Turn your feet back to the front. Turn your left foot in and your right foot out. And the same thing now with one leg at a time. Exhale, bend. Down creates up. Exhale, bend. Rest down. Now, as you make this movement, check to make sure your foot goes out toward the side. And more importantly, make sure that your knee and thigh track straight out toward the side. So we're introducing a little bit of mobility work in that hip socket. Last one. And back in toward the front. Second side. Right foot in, left foot out. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. So embedded here are the fundamentals of good posture. A lot of people try and improve their posture by doing something with their head and neck. Try and improve their posture by maybe pulling their shoulders back. Well, that's definitely part of it. But if it doesn't have a base or a foundation, the results tend to be short-lived. The next time knee is bent, let's pause there. Take a moment to feel your heel on the floor. Not just thinking about your heel, but feeling your heel. And the same with the ball of your foot. You feel the whole spread span of the ball of your foot on the floor. And now all your 5 toes. See if you can feel each of those toes individually contacting the floor. Then take that whole foot with the inhale, push it down, turn back to the front, and then step your feet together. So remember at the outset of this yoga session, we started with uncontrived ordinariness, standing as you stand. And so this here maybe feels the same, or maybe a little bit different. So continue with this idea of down creates up. Send weight down through your legs and feet to lift your arms up. And arms overhead, we'll pause for a few breaths. And then arms down. So maybe you already noticed when you root down, arms lift not from the neck, not from the shoulders, but from the lower abdomen. Let's try it again. Anchor down. From your lower abdomen, lift your arms. In a few moments here. And then arms down. Let's add a layer to that. Root down, heels, balls of your feet, toes. Maybe you've already felt in your body as you root down, the lower belly naturally starts to come online. And then from out of your lower belly, take your arms up. Now with the next out breath, we'll side bend to the right. A few moments here. Back up to your left. Back up into the middle. Hands to your hips. Step your feet apart. Turn your left foot in, your right foot out. And that same alignment, mobilizing the hip we spoke of earlier. Exhale, bend. Pause for the in-breath. Exhale, tip. Elbow to knee. Hand to your hip. And take a moment to settle into the diagonal line. Not vertical, not horizontal. Somewhere in between. Then take upper arm up toward the ceiling. And then toward the floor, turn your nose. And breathe. Come on up. And back to the front. One thing about mobility work is people get into a position and just hold it for far too long. So to increase mobility, it's better to do more repetitions held for shorter periods of time. Let's take the other side. Right foot in, left foot up. Exhale, bend. Pause for the in-breath. Exhale, tip. Settle into the diagonal. And then take the upper arm up. Then turn your nose to the floor. Then come on up. Back to the front. Step your feet together. So last week wasn't half and half, it was whole and none. We did a lot of sun salutations. If you remember, one of the key themes was to keep your lower ribs connected to your belly. Knit your ribs. So Pilates is really great for teaching that. So building upon what you've done with Colette. With the exhale, ribs down, arms up. Inhale, roll forward. Exhale, crown your head forward. Inhale, step back. Yoga pose, head down dog. Let's take a few breaths here. And then come on down to your knees. Down to the floor. So on the floor, simple cross-legged position. In a moment, what we're going to do is we're going to twist to the right. Now, most of the time when we twist from the vertebra that are already mobile. And we bypass, or we don't move, from the vertebra that are stiff. So what we're going to do is harness the power of the mind and do the trickle down twist. And work on mobilizing each segment, not just the segments that are already mobile, but in particular mobilizing the segments that are not mobile. So begin with your skull, turn it to the right, and then start to turn from the uppermost neck vertebra, then the next one down, next one down. There's 7 neck vertebrae, and then there are 12 upper back vertebrae. Trickle down twist. And at first it may be more imagery or imagining that you're doing a trickle down twist. A few breaths here. back in toward the front. Trickle down twist to the left, from top down. Head, cervical 1, cervical 2, C3, C4, down to C7, thoracic 1, thoracic 2, all the way down to T12, to your lower ribs. Few breaths here. Trickle down twist. And then turn back toward the front. In your sitting, noticing which leg is in front, which leg is behind. Okay, plant that in the memory banks. We're going to come back to it. Make your way from seated to hands and knees. From hands and knees, the yoga pose, head down dog. A few breaths here. And then step your feet up to your hands. Gorilla. Let your head hang. And then roll your spine up. First your lower back mobilizes, then your upper back, and then your neck, and then your head stacked in the vertical axis. All right. Hands to your hips. Step your feet wide apart. Turn your left foot in and your right foot out. And then turn your left foot a little bit more in so you face toward the side. Back leg more or less straight. Front leg more or less straight. And then fold from your hips. So your spine stays more or less straight. There's a theme here. So there's a direction toward your screen. There's a direction away from your screen. Turning away from your screen, trickle down twist. Start with your head, just like we did in sitting. And then the arm that naturally goes toward the floor, bring that hand to your shin. Few breaths here. And then come on up, back to the front. Revolved triangle. Right foot in, left foot out. Right foot a little bit more in. Back leg pretty much straight. Front leg pretty much straight. Spine pretty much straight. Fold from your hip sockets. Then trickle down twist, turning away from your screen. That could be advice for life. Turn away from your screen. And a few breaths here. And then inhale, come on up, back to the front. Step your feet a little bit wider apart. Legs straight, spine straight. Fold from those hip sockets. And then pause here. So hands could be on your thighs, could be on your knees, could be on your shins. Little press to lengthen the crown of your head forward. Then trickle down, fold. Chin slightly to chest. As you comprehensively fold your spine. Your hands maybe come lower down your shins, maybe even to the floor. And then rolling your spine up, trickle up, lower back, upper back, neck, head. Feet back together to the floor. Inhale, broaden your upper back with that inhale. Exhale, ribs down, chin up, arms up. Inhale, roll forward. Exhale, crown of your head forward. Inhale, step back. Few breaths here. And then come on down to your knees, all the way down onto your back. Knees bent, feet flat upon the floor. With your feet flat upon the floor, lightly draw your shoulder blades under. So what do I mean by under? It's a sense that there's a little more space across your collarbone, across your upper chest. And maintaining that space, that openness across your upper chest. If possible, bring your hands to the floor. You remember that imagery of elbows going out toward the side? Same thing here, just like you were pulling on the imaginary strap. And then as you continue mobilizing your shoulders, this is about healthy mobility for the shoulder. Roll your spine up, trickle up, moving into shoulder bridge. And now trickle down your spine, lowering your spine down. We're going to make a few of these movements. So there's a serpentine quality to the spine in coming up, and a serpentine quality to the spine in coming down. For the time being, breathe. Main thing is not to hold your breath. All right. So now we're going to do something similar that in yoga we may call a shoulder stand, but we're not going to go way high up on the shoulders. That can put some pressure on people's necks. So what we're going to do is practice using gravity to help calm the nervous system. The first step is to draw your shoulders even a little bit more under you. And then keeping that sense of openness in your chest. Arms, wrists, palms on the floor. And then you could do a shoulder bridge again if you like. Or if you like a lot more challenge, you could lift your legs up. And then roll your butt up. And then bring your hands to your hips. No need to go any higher than that. Legs up in the air. Shoulders pressing into the floor. And a few breaths here. Take your legs, excuse me, more over your head so there's less and less weight in your hand. Then bring your hands back on the floor. And then roll down. And bring your feet back on the floor. So now we regroup. Maybe some of you had done the shoulder bridge again. Maybe some of you did that variation of a shoulder stand. And now let's regroup, going back up into shoulder bridge. And this time we're going to hold in the shoulder bridge. Now to create a little bit more opening in the fronts of the hips, a little bit more lengthening in the thigh muscles. Lift your hips higher up by lifting your heels up. Feel how when you lifted your heels, your hips could go higher up? See if you can keep your hips lifted this high up. As you slowly telescope your heels down to the floor. And a few breaths here. And then slowly, gradually, roll your spine down, vertebra by vertebra, segment by segment, piece by piece. All right. And then roll up to sitting. So remember how we crossed the legs before? One leg was in front, one leg was behind. Switch it up. Trickle down twist to your right. Back to the front. Trickle down twist to the left. And back to the front. So then do a few breathing exercises. You could remain seated on the floor if you like, or if you prefer to sit up on a cushion or sit up on a chair. My cushion's gone. Ah, magically a cushion appears. So we're going to lightly lengthen the duration of the out breath. Leave the inhale alone. There's a widespread myth that deep breathing is somehow beneficial. Well, you can probably tell from how I phrase that. I don't think there's much evidence supporting that deep breathing itself is very calming. However, slightly lengthening the out breath, such that in some you spend more time exhaling than you spend inhaling. There's a lot of evidence supporting that that is calming. Just ordinary, everyday inhale. Let it be. And then slightly lengthen the duration of your out breath. And by slightly, magnitude about 10%. Just a little bit. Let the inhale be very ordinary. And ever so slightly, lengthen the duration of the out breath. That's it. That's all there is to it. I think we're at that time. So thank you so much for being with us here today. Before we close for the day, did any comments come in through the chat? Any questions? All quiet. All right. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll be here with you next Saturday. Bye now.